So the other day, as I saw Karim Benzema win the Ballon D'Or, I thought, who the saw this coming 3 years ago? Because in 2019, whilst Messi and Ronaldo were still doing their thing, their dominance was clearly wavering. Luka Modric had won the Ballon d'Or the year before and the contest looked way more open. And if you're a betting man, you wouldn't have put money on Benzema being the most likely Real Madrid player to win the Ballon d'Or over the next 3 years. Because the Madrid had just signed Eden Hazard in the summer of 2019. This was a man who had carried Chelsea for years and had finally landed his dream move that on paper would allow him to take that final step into becoming the best player in the world. But 3 years later, he's just become a bench warmer. What the happened? You can say injuries ruined Eden Hazard's career and left him as wasted potential, but that's the convenient answer, and only somewhat true. There's a bigger reason, one that has contributed to those injuries and actually started when he was tearing it up in the Premier League on a weekly basis. So what is it? Let's find out. Eden Hazard signed for Real Madrid for €100 million. At Chelsea over the previous 7 years, he had won 2 Premier League titles and 4 other trophies, all whilst being their main man. On his day, he was unplayable, and at times he was touted as the best player in the world behind Messi and Ronaldo. And when he signed for Madrid, Hazard was 28, supposedly in his peak. But he arrived at the Bernabeu 5 kilos overweight. This in itself was a red flag. And then the injuries started happening. In his first 3 seasons with Real Madrid, Hazard suffered 15 injuries and missed a total of 72 games. During his Chelsea days, he only missed 21 games in 7 seasons. So why is this? Well, going back to that red flag about Hazard's weight, it's a sign of something he's been known for his entire career. He's just plain lazy. It's common knowledge that at Chelsea, Hazard was the worst and laziest trainer. But back then, it didn't matter. He would do nothing all week, but then still put in match-winning performances at the weekend. And to be honest, that's fine when you're in your early 20s, when your body recovers a lot quicker and you're just naturally fitter. But when you get to your late 20s, that's when things start falling apart. And this is why for years we saw countless professional footballers retire in their early 30s. Years of insufficient conditioning left their bodies absolutely broken. Previously, there wasn't personalised gym programs, diet plans, or lengthy post-training stretching and foam rolling sessions. But now we live in times where players are expected to prolong their careers until their mid-30s or late 30s, as long as they're willing to put the effort in. At Real Madrid, we've seen this with the likes of Benzema, Modric, Cruz, and the likes of Ramos, Marcelo, and Ronaldo when they were all still there. If players are prepared to follow a culture of conditioning, then that short-term sacrifice is going to pay dividends in terms of longevity in their careers. Because a significant amount of training in football today is not about sharpening skills and tactics for the weekend. An increasing amount of training is focused on optimizing your physiology and recovery, so that the body doesn't break down and instead is able to withstand the brutal schedule that elite players are on. So for Eden Hazard, in being lazy in his early and mid-20s, unfortunately he set himself up to fail at Real Madrid. There is of course an element of bad luck with injuries, but luck is something you can create more of for yourself if you put in the work. If Hazard had the foresight to realise that if you want a long career at the top for 10 or 15 years, then you need to lay the foundations for doing so. And this is why we've seen such longevity from the likes of Ronaldo, Messi, Zlatan, Lewandowski, Benzema, and so on. These guys put just as much, if not more work off the pitch than they do on it. If you take someone like Zlatan in particular, the guy's 41 now and had what many people would call a career-ending injury at Manchester United when he was aged 35. Most professionals at that point would call it quits and not have the determination to go through months of rehab to get back to fitness. And he's doing the same thing now in his 40s as he recovers from another knee surgery. But Zlatan is able to do this because he's always looked after himself. He's for years had a private trainer and has steered clear from alcohol. But Eden Hazard hasn't been someone like that, and it's all caught up with him. And this is why he's been a tragic flop at Madrid, and honestly, I think it's his own fault. You can say it's down to the fact that he's been a player that opposition would kick a lot, but so many other great players have faced similar treatment and not become made of glass. They've all trained and built their bodies to withstand such attacks, just like boxers who practice taking body shots. And Hazard himself has been open about his weaker drive and mentality than many other great players. During his heyday at Chelsea, he said, "I often ask myself what I might do to be like Messi and Ronaldo and score 50 or 60 goals in a season. I try, of course, but I realise that I will never be a true scorer. It's not like me." And in holding that outlook for so long, he obviously did the bare minimum necessary. In not squeezing out more of himself as a professional athlete, he's been unable to squeeze anything out for the past 3 years. And ultimately, this is a sad story, because if Eden Hazard had looked after himself, then who knows? He might have been the 2022 Ballon d'Or winner.